Hi, it's Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show. You know, the last episode that I posted, I did a Which is Better regarding two Thor figures. Well, one of those Thor figures came in a two-pack with a brand new, first time in the Legends line, Marvel Legends figure for the Destroyer. Well, it just so happens that there was a Marvel Selects Destroyer a couple years ago, and I figured on today's episode, we'll take a look and see if we can't compare and figure out which version of the Destroyer is better. Check it out right now on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
Round one is about paint and overall appearance, and I gotta say, the paintwork is what really sets out Marvel Selects compared to Marvel Legends. Over here is the Marvel Legends, over here is the Marvel Select. And if you notice the Legends one, it's just this nice shiny silver paint. The only other paint application really are those two white eyes. You know, I don't think that they really filled in any of these lines here on the armor. It's just because it is carved out and sculpted that it does give that little bit of like texture to it. It's not painted. Whereas our Selects Destroyer has some nice black highlights, especially along like the buttoning of the armor. Other places, there's definitely some highlights there. I feel like these lines were painted in because they do look significantly darker than our Marvel Legends one. I also like on the face that this one has these really dark black eyes. Another thing that it was that it should be mentioned is that our Selects one has this like kind of more pronounced head crest. I will say when I opened up my Legends Destroyer, I was surprised to see that he is comparable in size to the Selects Destroyer. Normally, a Marvel Selects figure is significantly larger than a Marvel Legends figure, but these two ended up being very close in size. But with all this mentioned, I really like the paintwork, just the little bit of highlights that they put on our Selects one, so he's going to win round one. Round two is my articulation round, and quite honestly, how much articulation do you need for a giant suit of armor? Well, in comics, you can suspend your disbelief and pretend that these things can move in all kinds of ways. For the Marvel Legends one, we have fully movable arms, and I love that these pads, these shoulder pads, move with the arm. Arms move up and down as well, a little bit inhibited because of the pads, but nothing too major. We, of course, the arms can twist here at the shoulder. They can also twist at the elbow and get about 90 degrees of bend there. And, you know, these hands do swivel left to right as well. They are a little spiky, so if you grab them too tight, if a joint is stuck, it might hurt. Same on the other side. Head is on a ball joint, so we just get some movement here and a little bit of up and down. You can see it there a little bit. We get some nice chest movement here. I was surprised when I saw how well this thing could move. Nothing else, though, at the stomach. That's really it. In terms of the legs, I'm very impressed because they can move fully up and down, in and out. There is thigh rotation. There is a double knee, so that is really cool. I'm having trouble bending both at the moment, but that is there. And there is foot articulation. We have ankle rockers, and of course, toe articulation that moves up and down. So this thing, for as big as it is, it's kind of like a Build-A-Figure size figure. It moves very well. Now, Marvel Selects have never quite been known for their outstanding articulation, but in terms of articulation, our Select one is giving our Legends version a run for its money. Head, again, can move a little bit more freely than the Legends one. The shoulder pads on this one are not connected to the arm, they're connected at the shoulder, so they don't move with the armor like the Legends one, but they do get out of the way, allowing for just a little bit extra lift there on the arm. So, you know, we also do have rotation at the shoulder. Nothing at the elbow rotation-wise, but about 90 degrees of bend. The hands, of course, can twist and can swivel, so that's there too. In terms of his body, we have a little bit of movement here. It doesn't move up and down as much as that Legends one, but it does twist, and there is more articulation here at the bottom of the stomach, so you can really make him turn. In terms of the leg, we have two kind of separate pieces. We have one piece of articulation that lets him kick forward just a little bit, and then there is this joint here that lets him kick out just a little bit, but not nearly as much as my Legends one, and you're hearing that nice plastic cracking sound there, or plastic moving sound. The knees are single jointed, and even then, not even 90 degrees. In terms of the ankles, no pivot, but they do move up and down. So looking at these two versions of the Destroyer, some have better articulation than the others. Yeah, I like that he has more stomach and body articulation than the Legends one, but I like that the Legends has a double knee, movement at the elbow. So the Legends one, I'm going to say, wins the articulation round. The third round is my accessories round, and this Marvel Selects Destroyer came with a couple interesting accessories. First and foremost, it came with this lovely sword. I believe it is called the Odin Sword. And it is something that he can hold in his hands. You just kind of have to jam it into his hand a little bit. Like that. It is a nice, tight grip, but it is a very menacing, powerful looking sword. It does look very cool. The other accessory that this Destroyer came with is an Odin head, because if you wanted to, you could swap out this Destroyer's head and stick this Odin head on it, which would look something like this. Now, I gotta say, Selects have always been larger than Marvel Legends, but this Odin head just seems a little too ridiculously big. In fact, compared to the Marvel Legends Odin Build-A-Figure, first off, he does have some height, but the head difference, like where Odin's helmet is, because obviously the helmet would be a little taller off his head, like it looks like this is a child's head compared to this. This would be a giant Odin. As a matter of fact, I have a couple extra heads here that I wanted to show off scale-wise. So here's, again, that Selects head with a Legends Thor head, and it dwarfs it. Same with the Future King Thor head. Like, this Selects head is huge. Now, I've never pictured Odin as, like, a giant. Obviously, if he was going to be in this Destroyer armor, he would probably be bigger, but this head just looks super big and kind of throws me off. But it is nice to have the other head option and this sword option. Our Marvel Legends Destroyer just comes with different hands. He has an open hand option for his left hand, a fisted hand option for his right hand, obviously a left fist, and this hand here, which is open slightly, we'll talk about in a second. If you've watched my channel before, you know that just extra hands don't always make me go ooh when it comes to Marvel Legends. However, with this Destroyer figure, there is an exception to be made, because if you take the Selects Destroyer sword, you can put it into this Destroyer's gripping hand. And it ends up being a very nice, tight fit, and because these Destroyer figures are close in scale, it almost looks like this sword belongs to him. Now, this display option can work with any number of large swords you have. You got a Mythic Legion sword you want to give him? Go for it. You got some other Marvel Legends large sword you want to give him? You can. Because of that little bit of extra playability with the hands, I have to give my accessory round to the Legends Destroyer. I like that he can hold other things. I like that there's some ways you can get creative with this figure. All right, round 4, we have to talk about price and availability. And quite honestly, there are some important things to talk about between these two figures. One thing to remember, this Destroyer figure comes in a 2-pack with a Thor based on the Eric Masterson version of Thor. This Destroyer was a single-carded figure. When the Selects Destroyer came out, he cost about $20, I want to say. Those select prices have been standing pretty firm for a long time now. The Legends Destroyer, which is currently available, is $50, but again, it's in a 2-pack. Now, my Selects Destroyer, as of this recording, I've seen it listed online, selling for anywhere between $40 to $80. $40, of course, would be loose, $80 would be carded. That is a lot to just get the one figure, considering for $30 less, you can get this Destroyer in a 2-pack right now without having to overpay for it. That really does make a difference if you're looking to just have a Destroyer. Quite honestly, if you just want the Destroyer from the 2-pack, you can probably buy it and then sell the Thor and make some of your money back. I really think that you're going to get more bang for your buck with the Marvel Legends Destroyer, so he wins round 4. Round 5 is about your display compatibility. Now, quite honestly, you got a Thor shelf going, either one of these Destroyers are going to look good. Yes, there was a Destroyer back in the Toy Biz Legend days, but honestly, it didn't look nearly as good as either one of these Destroyers. The thing that sets these figures apart for me is kind of how human they look. Now, I understand this is a suit of armor. It's a magical suit of armor. But I kind of still want this to be a little more human looking. When I look at these two, my Select's Destroyer is almost like square bodied. It's very just, here he is, here's a suit of armor, which I guess makes sense for a suit of armor. But I like that my Legends one has a little bit of shape to it. Like, it's not exactly the most shapely thing in the world, but you can see more of a human form in the Legends one than the Selects one. And maybe that's just my brain, maybe that's just the way I see it. But quite honestly, I think my Marvel Legends Destroyer wins for my display compatibility round. Well, with the score of 4-1, my Marvel Legends Destroyer wins on this version of which is better. Again, I'm not saying either of these are bad figures, but quite honestly, I am so stoked to have this Legends version in my collection. Hey, what did you think of this round of which is better? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I've been Dan, you've been pretty awesome, and I'll see you around.
Come geek out with us